have produced where he's at.
Right.
And even though he's eating, pretty good, he just can't retain weight. He keeps losing weight, and he's just not able to do much, and he's just hurt.
Phil Robertson, the beloved patriarch of Duck Dynasty, is facing one of the hardest chapters of his life. After receiving a life-changing diagnosis, he's stepping away from the spotlight and saying goodbye to the world that once adored him. As his days of hunting and fishing fade into memory, Phil leans on faith and family to face an uncertain future, with courage, love, and the strength that has always defined him. Phil Robertson's heartbreaking health battle. Recently, the Robertson family shared some deeply emotional news. Phil Robertson has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. This condition gradually impacts memory and cognitive abilities, making daily life more challenging over time. For the Robertson family, the diagnosis has been painful to accept, yet it has also drawn them even closer, reminding them of the importance of faith, love, and togetherness during life's hardest storms. There is currently no cure for Alzheimer's, meaning Phil will continue to experience gradual changes in his memory and thinking. But his family is determined to cherish every single day with him. Willie Robertson, Phil's son, has often spoken about the family's unbreakable bond. He shared that this diagnosis has made them even stronger as they face this new chapter side by side. For Phil, this journey isn't just about battling the illness. It's about finding strength in the unwavering love and support that surrounds him. Together, they are walking this difficult path with faith as their guiding light. Phil has openly spoken about the challenges of adjusting to this new reality, including his daily routines and health struggles. In a recent conversation, he admitted that some mornings are harder than others, but he constantly reminds himself that God has a purpose even in these moments. Keeping up his strength has become more difficult, and Phil often has to push himself to eat properly to stay healthy. He discusses his illness from 9:28 to 9:38. Despite these challenges, Phil's faith remains his greatest source of comfort and direction. The beliefs that shaped the Duck Dynasty family continue to shine brighter than ever. Phil's deep trust in God, the same faith that has guided him throughout his life, now gives him courage and peace in the face of uncertainty. In a touching message, his family shared that they are leaning on prayer and trusting in God's grace, finding hope where others might see despair. Though Alzheimer's may slowly affect Phil's memories, the Robertson family is determined to honor his spirit and the legacy he built. The road hasn't been easy. Caring for someone with this condition brings emotional and physical challenges. But through it all, the family has found beauty in small moments of laughter, storytelling, and togetherness. These shared experiences have become powerful reminders of love's endurance. Phil's grandchildren now spend more time by his side, enjoying his humor, listening to his wisdom, and creating memories they will carry forever. These seemingly simple moments have taken on new meaning, reminding everyone what truly matters. Kay Robertson, lovingly known as Miss Kay, has stood beside Phil through every season of life. Now, she has embraced her role as his caregiver with grace and devotion, ensuring he feels loved and supported every single day. Miss Kay has worked hard to keep their home filled with warmth and normalcy, while focusing on Phil's comfort. She often says that faith has been their anchor through every trial, and now that faith feels stronger than ever, it remains the foundation of their lives, helping them find light even during their darkest nights. The Robertsons continue to face life with courage and purpose. Recently, Willie Robertson announced a new television project that will once again bring their story to audiences. This isn't just another show, it's a heartfelt mission to inspire others going through similar struggles. For years, Duck Dynasty fans have admired the family's honesty and resilience, and this next chapter promises to carry that same message forward. However, this news has touched not only Phil and his loved ones, but also millions of fans around the world. Before diving deeper into how they are coping today, let's take a look at where it all began. A simple beginning that shaped a legend. Phil Robertson's story begins in the quiet little town of Vivian, Louisiana, where he was born as the fifth of 7 children. His parents, Merritt and James Robertson, worked tirelessly to provide for their large family, though financial hardship was a constant reality. Their home was humble, no electricity, no indoor plumbing, not even a bathtub. But what they lacked in comfort, they made up for in resourcefulness. The Robertsons grew their own food, hunted deer and squirrels, fished in nearby creeks, and raised livestock to fill their table with fresh meat and vegetables. Despite their struggles, there was a certain peace in their simple life, a happiness rooted in faith, family, and hard work. In his memoir, Happy, Phil fondly recalled those early days. He said that even though it was the 1950s, their lifestyle felt more like the 1850s, simple, rugged, and self-sufficient. Yet through all of it, they were genuinely content. "We were always happy," he wrote, describing how gratitude shaped his view of the world. That joy, born from simplicity, became a lifelong compass, guiding him through every trial that followed. Just a short distance from where he grew up, between Vivian and Houston, stands the old log cabin where Phil was born. The cabin, now lovingly restored by his cousin Nathan Hale, remains a cherished symbol of his humble beginnings, a reminder of how far he's come without ever forgetting where he started. Phil's athletic ability became evident during his high school years, where he shined in football, baseball, and track. His natural talent earned him a football scholarship to Louisiana Tech University in Ruston during the late 1960s. There, he served as the Bulldogs' starting quarterback, sharing the field with none other than future NFL Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw. When Bradshaw arrived in 1966, his reputation as a gifted young athlete from Shreveport quickly made waves. Still, Phil held his starting spot for 2 seasons, from 1966 through 1967, before stepping away in 1968. During his college career, he completed 179 of 411 passes, totaling 2,237 yards. By all accounts, he was a skilled and capable quarterback. But while the game gave him opportunity, his heart was always somewhere else. For Phil, football was a means to an end, a scholarship to fund his education, while hunting was his true calling. His teammate Bradshaw once joked that Phil loved hunting more than football itself. He remembered how Phil would show up to practice straight from the woods, with squirrel tails hanging out of his pockets and duck feathers stuck to his clothes. Yet nobody minded, because everyone knew how talented he was, both on the field and with a rifle in hand. Eventually, Phil faced a life-changing decision. When offered a chance to play professionally with the Washington Redskins, he turned it down. To him, professional football clashed with his love of the great outdoors. Later, he laughed about that choice, saying, "Terry went for the Bucks, and I went for the Ducks." Even after leaving football behind, Phil stayed committed to learning. He earned a bachelor's degree in physical education and went on to complete a master's in education. It was a strong foundation for a man who would later become a cultural icon. But as Phil would soon discover, the road to success was filled with challenges, setbacks, and lessons that would test everything he believed in. From duck calls to a legacy of faith. Phil Robertson's evolution from a young college graduate to a devoted outdoorsman and successful businessman is nothing short of remarkable. His story truly took shape after he completed his education and began to feel frustrated with the duck calls available on the market. None of them, in his view, captured the real, natural sound of a duck. He believed hunters deserved something far more authentic, a tool that could truly speak the language of the wild.
How did you start this business? Did you start the business?
Yeah,
Phil?
I basically just went out there and said, I think that we can make a better sounding duck call that sounds closer to a duck.
Fueled by this belief, Phil decided to create his own version. In 1972, working from a small shed in West Monroe, Louisiana, he invented and patented what would become the very first Duck Commander call. What began as a simple idea, improving a hunting instrument, soon grew into something much bigger. His passion and persistence gave rise to a one-of-a-kind duck call that quickly gained popularity among hunters who recognized its superior sound and craftsmanship. But the early days were anything but easy. Balancing family life while building a business from scratch was a constant challenge. Yet through long days and sleepless nights, Phil's determination never wavered. As orders increased, his family stepped in to help, shaping, packaging, and shipping duck calls from their humble workshop. Phil often said he didn't start the company to make money. He did it because he loved it and believed in what he was creating. By the late 1990s, Duck Commander had become a trusted name in the hunting world, respected for its high-quality craftsmanship and innovation. Phil's vision had blossomed into a thriving enterprise built on faith, family, and an unshakable work ethic. Then, in 2012, the Robertson family's world changed overnight. Duck Dynasty premiered on A&E, giving audiences an inside look at the Duck Commander business and at the lives of Phil, Miss Kay, their children, and extended family. The show was an unexpected phenomenon. Its blend of humor, heartfelt family moments, and strong Christian values resonated deeply with viewers across America. Phil Robertson, with his rugged look, sharp wit, and straightforward wisdom, quickly became a fan favorite. Whether he was telling stories from his past, offering advice from his recliner, or leading a family prayer, his sincerity shone through every moment. Phil later explained that their goal was never fame or ratings. They were simply being themselves, showing people what real life looked like in the duck blind and around the dinner table. At its peak, Duck Dynasty attracted millions of viewers, breaking cable television records and collecting numerous awards. The Robertsons' long beards, camouflage clothing, and unforgettable catchphrases became cultural icons.
A picture of you. We just saw a quick clip. This is a photo of you guys in your element on a duck hunt. That is I had no idea that this is how duck hunters suit up.
The show's massive success led to a wave of merchandise, best-selling books, and even a stage musical. But for Phil, Duck Dynasty was never just entertainment. It was a platform to share his faith and message of redemption. He often used his voice to remind people that everyone is imperfect, saying, "We're all sinners. The real question is, what are we going to do about it?" After 11 memorable seasons, the series concluded in 2017. But Phil's story didn't end there. That same year, he appeared in Steve Bannon's documentary, Torchbearer, exploring what happens to societies that turn away from God, drawing on historical examples like the Holocaust to make his point. Later in 2017, he joined CRTV, hosting In the Woods with Phil, where he reflected on life, faith, and modern culture. Then in September of 2023, Phil's journey took another emotional turn with the release of The Blind, the true story of the Robertson family. This nationwide film offered a raw and heartfelt portrayal of their early struggles, long before fame and fortune, covering their story up to 1985. It revealed the pain, redemption, and family strength that laid the foundation for everything the Robertsons became. But with fame also came controversy. And while the challenges that followed tested Phil's beliefs, they also revealed his true character. So how did he face those storms and rise above them? Stay with us. The answer is coming next. Phil Robertson's words that shook the nation.
Kind of gender crisis was full swing in our culture. You know, my dad is like, what everyone needs to do is remember one of the greatest inventions that would cure.
On December 18, 2013, the entertainment world was thrown into chaos when A&E announced the indefinite suspension of Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson. The decision came shortly after his interview with Drew Magary for GQ magazine, featured in the January 2014 issue titled, "What the Duck?" An interview that would spark one of the biggest debates in reality TV history. When asked about his views on sin and morality, Phil's response was unapologetically blunt. He stated that sin began with homosexual behavior and extended to bestiality and other forms of promiscuity involving both men and women. He referenced a passage from 1 Corinthians warning that adulterers, idolaters, the greedy, drunkards, and others would not inherit the kingdom of God. He added that such behavior was simply not right in his eyes. Phil went on to question why some men were attracted to other men, saying that women's bodies were far more appealing. Yet despite his firm beliefs, he claimed he wasn't condemning anyone personally, saying, "We love everyone, whether they're gay, drunks, or even terrorists. We just tell them the good news about Jesus and let God sort it out later." Unsurprisingly, his words ignited a firestorm. Advocacy groups, public figures, and fans quickly voiced outrage, labeling his statements as hurtful and discriminatory. In response, A&E released a statement from Phil, where he expressed regret if his comments had caused pain, emphasizing that he would never intentionally disrespect anyone for being different. But the backlash was already in full swing. That same day, A&E officially announced Phil's suspension from the show, a move that divided public opinion. Almost immediately, his supporters launched a Facebook campaign that amassed over 1.5 million likes within days. Politicians and media personalities also rallied behind him, arguing that his right to express his beliefs was being suppressed. The overwhelming support eventually pushed A&E to reverse its decision. Before the suspension could even affect upcoming episodes, the network lifted the ban, and Phil Robertson was reinstated. However, that wouldn't be the last time Phil's words made headlines. In 2015, while accepting the Breitbart Defender of the First Amendment Award at CPAC, he once again found himself at the center of controversy. During his speech, Phil drew a connection between the rise of sexually transmitted diseases and what he described as the moral decay caused by Nazis, communists, beatniks, and hippies. He suggested that these groups had left behind a legacy of corruption, with sexually transmitted diseases being the visible result. Then came a disturbing fictional story he shared to illustrate his point. In the tale, an atheist and his family were brutally attacked, with their assailants mocking the man's disbelief by saying he was the one who claimed there was no God, no right, and no wrong, so they were merely having fun. The shocking nature of the story spread quickly online, and the backlash was immediate. Critics accused him of insensitivity and extremism, while supporters defended his freedom to speak his mind. No matter which side people stood on, one thing was clear: Phil Robertson's words carried weight. To some, he represented courage, conviction, and an unfiltered voice for faith and traditional values. To others, he symbolized outdated and harmful views that no longer belonged in modern society. But behind the fame, the controversies, and the strong opinions, there was still a man of deep faith and personal struggle. If his public life was this intense, what was really happening behind closed doors? Was his private world as steady as it seemed, or was there more pain than people realized? The controversial words of Phil Robertson. On December 18, 2013, the entertainment world was shaken when A&E announced the indefinite suspension of Phil Robertson, one of the central figures from the hit reality show Duck Dynasty. The decision came after an interview Robertson had done with Drew Magary for GQ magazine. In the January 2014 issue, titled "What the Duck?", his words about sin and morality would go on to spark one of the biggest debates in reality TV history. When asked about his personal view on sin, Phil didn't hold back. His response was blunt. and instantly divisive. He said it all began with gay behavior and stretched to bestiality, and all kinds of promiscuity, involving both men and women. Then, quoting a passage from 1 Corinthians, he warned that people should not be deceived, that adulterers, idolaters, male prostitutes, homosexual offenders, the greedy, drunkards, slanderers, and swindlers would not inherit the kingdom of God. He ended by saying simply, "It's not right." Phil went on to question why a man would choose another man when a woman's body, as he said, was more naturally appealing. Yet even after saying all that, Robertson claimed he wasn't judging anyone. He explained that his family just tried to love everyone and share the good news about Jesus, whether they were gay, drunk, or even terrorists. And then let God sort them out later. As expected, the comments exploded across the media. Advocacy groups, celebrities, and major outlets condemned his words as offensive and deeply harmful. Soon after, A&E released a statement from Phil, where he expressed regret for any hurt caused, saying he'd never treat someone badly just because they were different. But that apology wasn't enough to calm the storm. Later that same day, A&E announced Phil's indefinite suspension from the show. The response was immediate and fierce. Supporters of Phil flooded social media, launching a Facebook page that gathered more than 1.5 million likes in just days. Politicians and other public figures joined in too, accusing A&E of silencing free speech and defending Robertson's right to express his faith. The pressure became impossible for the network to ignore. Before the suspension could even affect Duck Dynasty's upcoming episodes, A&E backed down, lifting the ban and bringing Phil Robertson back. But that wouldn't be the end of it. Fast forward to 2015, and Phil found himself caught in yet another public storm. While accepting the Breitbart Defender of the First Amendment Award at CPAC, he gave a speech that stunned the crowd. In it, he linked the rise of sexually transmitted diseases to the influence of Nazis, communists, beatniks, and hippies, claiming those groups had left behind a trail of moral decay, with STDs as the evidence. Then came the moment that left people speechless. Phil told a disturbing fictional story about an atheist and his family being brutally attacked, describing how the attackers mocked the man's disbelief, saying, "You said there's no God, no right, no wrong, so we're just having fun." The story was shocking, graphic, and unsettling. It went viral almost immediately, reigniting the divide between those who saw Phil as a man of conviction and those who saw him as a symbol of intolerance. Phil Robertson's words, whether you agree with them or not, have undeniably shaped pop culture and public debate. To some, he's a fearless defender of free speech and faith. To others, he represents outdated and harmful thinking. But one thing is certain: his words keep sparking conversations, arguments, and controversy. If Phil's time in the spotlight looked like this, can you imagine what his personal life was truly like? Was it really as peaceful and perfect as it seemed? Or was there a storm brewing behind the camera that no one ever saw? The Private Life of Phil Robertson. Phil Robertson and Marcia Miss K. Carraway's love story began like something out of a small-town fairy tale. They were high school sweethearts, two young dreamers from Louisiana whose paths first crossed in 1964. Their innocent teenage romance grew stronger with time, and by 1966, they vowed to spend their lives together. But the early years of that marriage were far from easy. Back then, Phil was living a wild and reckless life, a mix of intimate pursuits, illegal substances, and rock and roll. His choices took a heavy toll on their relationship. Drinking, temper, and chaos often overshadowed the love they once shared. Eventually, the strain became too much, and the couple separated for a time. But destiny wasn't done with them yet. Phil's life took a dramatic turn after a powerful spiritual awakening. He embraced Christianity, a transformation that not only saved him from his darkest habits, but also brought Miss K back into his life. Their reunion marked the beginning of a stronger, faith-driven partnership that would go on to inspire millions. Many call their marriage rock solid, a union that has endured every storm life threw their way. While still in college, they welcomed their first son, Alan. As Phil's faith deepened, he became an elder at White's Ferry Road Church of Christ in West Monroe. From there, he began openly discussing his Christian values, often speaking out about moral and cultural topics, including abortion. For Phil, abortion wasn't a political matter, but a moral one. He believed it clashed with the principles of life and liberty stated in the Declaration of Independence. His unshakable faith also influenced his ventures beyond the church. In 2013, he co-authored a memoir titled Happy, 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 where he detailed his journey of redemption and faith. That same year, Phil made headlines for endorsing Vance McAllister, a Republican running for Louisiana's 5th congressional seat. McAllister's unexpected victory highlighted just how influential the Robertson family had become. Over the years, Phil continued to be active in politics, backing conservative candidates such as Ted Cruz and Donald Trump during their presidential campaigns. In 2017, he publicly supported Roy Moore in the Alabama Senate race, stressing the importance of keeping the Ten Commandments visible in courthouses. His leadership extended beyond politics, too. In 2016, he served as chairman of the American Legacy Center's Fight for the Court initiative, further proving his dedication to faith and tradition. But life still had surprises in store. In May 2020, Phil discovered he had a daughter named Phyllis, the result of an affair from the 1970s. The revelation was shocking, not only for him but for his entire family. Yet, instead of rejection, the Robertsons welcomed Phyllis with open arms. Her arrival added a new and deeply human chapter to their already remarkable story, one filled with forgiveness, acceptance, and grace. The Robertson family's strength through Alzheimer's. The world knows the Robertson family for their humor, faith, and love on Duck Dynasty. But behind the smiles, they're facing one of life's hardest battles. Phil Robertson has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and for the family, it's been a test of love, patience, and unity like never before. Fame and success have taken a back seat as they focus on what truly matters: faith, family, and cherishing the time they still have together. In this chapter of life, they've found strength in simplicity, quiet fishing trips, family dinners, and long conversations filled with laughter and prayer. Phil's legacy has become more than his business or television fame. It lives on in his children and grandchildren, especially as they work to preserve his memories. His grandkids have taken to recording his stories, capturing his humor, wisdom, and faith so future generations can hear them. One grandson shared how listening to Phil's tales about his youth and beliefs has brought everyone even closer together, creating memories that feel timeless. The Robertsons have also turned this difficult journey into a mission to help others. They've begun using their platform to raise awareness about Alzheimer's and memory care, encouraging families to recognize early signs and seek help. Phil's granddaughter has been especially vocal about staying connected with older generations and cherishing time spent together. At the heart of it all stands Miss Kay, Phil's wife and unwavering caregiver. Her patience and devotion have become a beacon of strength for the entire family. She shared advice about creating structure, finding support, and keeping faith through every challenge. Her resilience is proof that love can remain steady, even when memories begin to fade. Meanwhile, Phil's sons continue to run the Duck Commander business, keeping his values and vision alive. Though Phil no longer leads day-to-day operations, his principles guide every decision. Each handcrafted call, each family prayer before dinner carries his spirit forward. Special occasions now hold deeper meaning. For Phil's last birthday, the family chose simplicity. A quiet meal, laughter, storytelling, and watching Phil light up as he cracked jokes. These small, heartfelt moments remind them that love doesn't depend on perfect memories. It thrives in shared presence. Despite Alzheimer's relentless progression, Phil's humor and calm faith endure. He still finds peace in fishing, joy in prayer, and laughter with family. His ability to live in the moment and appreciate life's little blessings continues to inspire everyone around him. The Robertsons' openness about their journey offers hope to countless families. They've shown that while Alzheimer's may be a part of their story, it will never define it. Instead, they focus on what they can control, showing up for one another, sharing laughter, and holding tight to the beauty of today. Through every triumph and trial, the story of Phil Robertson stands as a powerful reminder of faith, redemption, and resilience. From his humble beginnings in rural Louisiana to becoming a household name through Duck Dynasty, Phil's life has been anything but ordinary. He's faced public criticism, personal battles, and now a difficult fight against Alzheimer's, yet his spirit remains unbroken. Behind the fame, what truly defines Phil is not controversy or celebrity status, but the unwavering love of a family that stands by him through it all. The Robertsons have shown the world that even when memories begin to fade, the bonds of love, faith, and legacy only grow stronger. As they continue to navigate life's challenges, their story reminds us of something timeless: that no matter how tough the journey gets, faith can heal, family can restore, and love can outlast everything else. Because at the end of the day, true legacy isn't built on fame. It's built on the lives we touch, the love we give, and the faith we keep alive.